a special sound that if you haven't lived here for a long time, the cars driving on slightly slushy streets that is unique to here that I haven't quite captured on the harp yet before. So, so a couple times as I've been playing, a couple minutes and I've heard some people go, that is a physiological response to relaxation. At first, a couple times I heard it, I thought, oh my God, I'm boring them. But it turns out, one of my teachers has done some research with the Heart Math Institute in California, you know, the Heart Math Institute, and also with the University of Arizona. And what they found is that people who are exposed to harp music, whether it's live or recorded, and the intention is that it's relaxing and all of that, that within about 15 to 20 minutes, they'll have this response. We look for it in the hospital too. When somebody's in pain, you know their pain is being diminished because they're able to breathe. They're not holding against the pain so much. It also reduces blood pressure. This has all been scientifically studied, and that within 20 minutes, your blood pressure will drop, and the HDL and LDL cholesterol levels will balance. We're talking about balance. And all of this is because of partially because of the relaxation, just in general, but also because we now have maps of the body there are a couple different very good maps. One is done by Jonathan Goldman up in Boulder. One is done by a chiropractor and energy worker in Portland, who's a friend of mine. So we now know what frequency the tissues vibrate at. We know that bone vibrates at a certain frequency. So you can put a cast on somebody, an electronic cast, and beam in those frequencies, and it will heal the bone. That's been done at Research Triangle Institute in North Carolina. So what I'm doing, what some of my friends are doing it electronically. They're building machines that do this, but the harp does it organically. The body takes in the vibrations that it wants, and it just bypasses the stuff that it doesn't need. So 10 years ago now, a friend of mine, very dear friend of mine, was diagnosed with lung cancer. Really weird. He was a rower, never smoked in his life, but had lung cancer. And I went to visit him with one of my little harps like this. And I said, you know, Dave, I think you need to play for yourself. He said, I don't play. I said, you don't need to play. You just need to hold the harp against your body and pick notes until you find what feels good. And it will feel like a hand on an engine. Like the right note feels that way. You will know it when you feel it. So he did. And then he played a couple more notes, and then he played a couple more notes. And then something happened that's never happened before or since. The harp stopped playing. It had sounds like this. Even though he was playing it like this, it sounded like this. I said, I think you're done.
The harp is done.
The harp is done with you, apparently. Now, I cannot say that it was entirely me. He did a lot of work himself. The doctors gave him 9 months. He lived 6 more years. And I would love to believe that some of the early intervention that we did with the harp was part of his longevity. He did get to do his bucket list. He did his bucket list. All right. So these stories are real. These are, real people, real science. It's really out there, and it is starting to gain momentum and gain acceptance in the medical community and in the wellness community. All right, so we got 2 more seasons to get through, and I'm gonna stay on time. Doing good, I know, I got my kitchen timer. So we're moving now out of winter into spring musically. And this is the time when, well, as you know, it's kind of brown and ugly around here in the spring for a while, but these little, the hyacinths come up, and little daffodils come up, and little bits of greenery that got fooled into believing that it was really spring, but it's gonna snow again. This is the time of high qi. In traditional Chinese medicine, this is liver energy. It's upward moving energy in its most positive form. It gets stuff done. In its kind of more negative form, it's anger and frustration. But it is push forward. So the colors green, liver, all that stuff. Up to it. So in the spring, it's kind of still like, the way I play it is still kind of like wintry, kind of moving into spring. So you see here, still a little bit of the winter coming. you're a musician, you might be wondering, what is she doing up there? So this is what I'm playing off of. These are my notes. It's just so mostly, so if I get lost, which can happen sometimes, if I get into the energy, I get into the room, and then I like, oh wait, I'm supposed to be playing. This feels so good. Then I can look back here. It's my roadmap. Like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be there. Okay, back to that. All right, so we're almost done with this. I know it's gone by so fast. Let me think. If there's one more great story I want to tell you. Yes, there's one more great story I want to tell you. That's sort of a healing story, sort of a harp story. So I bought this harp a little over 10 years ago. It was made in Italy. It's electroacoustic. If you play electric guitar, this has a pickup on every string. There's a ton of electronics in the back here that's driving that. And I bought this because I lived out in the country and I thought it was going to be quiet. Raptors, barking dogs. I lived in the flight path. It wasn't quiet, so I couldn't record. So I bought this so that I could record. And this harp has just been so magical and taking me places. Whenever my life feels like, oh my God, what is happening in my life? I just hold on to this one, and wherever she says go, it always turns out great. So about 10 years ago, I was invited to play a labyrinth walk in East Hawaii. This was a family that had probably 10 acres right on the ocean on a little cove where the whales came to give birth. So in the 10 years that they had lived there, they witnessed 3 births, and one of them was a white whale. So they had, because everything grows so quickly, they decided they wanted a labyrinth in the yard, so they mowed it into their yard because the grass grows so on it. They mowed. And then they invited me and a bunch of people to come and walk the labyrinth, and I played for them while they walked. So I sat up just like this, and I'm sitting here tuning the harp and playing around, doing just exactly what I was doing when you guys first arrived. And the husband, the owner of the property, ran up to me and he said, "The whales are gonna love this." That's what I said. I'm like, okie dokie, whatever, you know. It was amplified and it was quite loud because the labyrinth was loud and everybody needed to be able to hear me while they were walking. Well, pretty soon here come the whales. There were 2 pods of them, one was 6 and 3, right off the shore. We could see their spouts and they were singing with me. Anytime I did this kind of thing, they go, woo, 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 but it'd be a whale. I haven't worked on my accent yet. And whenever I would play something sort of percussive, I couldn't hear a lot of this, but the people who were walking the labyrinth would say the whales would slap the water in response to what you're here. It was so cool. It was such a magical night. And I feel like probably I was sitting on a lava tube, so the sound was going down and out into the ocean, or maybe it was really, was loud enough that they could hear it out of the water. Everybody said they were sticking their heads up out and looking, listening, and absolutely incredible. So I'm like, yeah, I want to see this too, because I can't see, I'm on the stage. So I finished, and I ran down to the water, and they were all swimming away. You can see the spouts in the moonlight, it's full moon. Oh, so beautiful. Oh, how you guys come back? So I haven't had the chance, but I would love to have the chance again to go out on the ocean and play for the whales. A friend of mine who does whale watches in Santa Cruz says the boat acts like an amplifier. So an instrument that you put on the floor of the boat is going to be amplified out into the water. They can absolutely hear everything we're doing all the time, and they'll love it. So all right, so I'll finish off with early summer. So we've taken through a tour through the seasons. Traditional Chinese medicine, by the way, divides summer into 2 because summer's so hot. So you get early summer, which is where we're finishing. Late summer is where we started. So early summer, plants are blooming, things are growing, school's out, and getting ready for that summer vacation. happened in there that I wasn't expecting. I started off with something I'd written, and then all of a sudden the Queen of Hawaii showed up. And this little thing that I played in the middle is one of her pieces. I talked to some of you earlier about this, but at the end of the last 10 years I've been studying her music. She wrote 300 songs, besides Aloha Hawaii. And she wanted to be here with us. So here she is, the last Queen of Hawaii, checking in to Denver, saying hello. So do you have any questions? Does anybody have questions? Yes.
Are those lights?
Yes, they are. Thank you for, I should have turned them on. I know. Yes, I did. I forgot to turn on the lights. I was so happy to see you. They're all beaming. I didn't need them. Yes, those are my friends.
Is there any kind of connotation or meaning if one of the seasons stuck out, like really, like you felt the notes and the others did not, or vice versa?
Did it feel good?
Yeah, like if one specifically was like,
yeah,
that's my season.
Yeah. I just spend a little time in meditation on that. If one of them resonated with you, and they might change throughout the year, they might change throughout your life. You said, I like winter more than I thought. I like the sound of that. Maybe I need to do a little more stillness. Or maybe my body's asking me for more stillness. Maybe I need to do something like, or maybe if it's spring, it's like maybe there's a project that you've been working on that needs a little move, maybe if autumn spoke to you, maybe there's some things in your life that need to die. Need to be let go of. I'm talking about in a leaf kind of death. A leafy kind of death.
My baby really liked autumn.
Your baby really liked
it? Kicking.
Really? Wow, that's exciting. That's exciting to know. That's wonderful. So, should you like to try? Brought a little baby one along after we break up. I know you guys are going to head out to dinner or whatever, but I did bring an extra harp if somebody
How do you determine what type of songs or notes are better healing for things like head trauma versus other forms of?
This is a long, complicated question, but it has to do with the vibration of the injury or the vibration of the trauma, and the desire and the natural vibration of the whole healed tissue, and what is the difference between what's the distance between the trauma vibration and the healthy vibration. And the harp is an instrument of very powerful entrainment. It will push this into a more natural healing situation. I'm giving it like a really surface answer here, but yeah.
Do you actually know what frequency, like specific bone, or what's the actual frequency?
Bone I think is 10 hertz. I have to double check that, but there are maps and tables, and if you're interested in that, I can point you to those. Yeah.
NASA found out that the cats all purr at the same frequency regardless of what we're hearing them, and it's for regenerative cell and tissues. So like in like the space shuttles and stuff, they have that frequency playing all the time. Right? And I'm not a crazy cat lady. Like that's seriously true. Yeah. So NASA found that out, 20 plus years ago.
And cats
way
will,
more than that.
Yeah, exactly. And cats will purr if they're traumatized as well as being happy.
Right.
It's a self-soothing.
Yep.
And it's specific to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. 50 to 60 hertz. Was there another question? Yeah.
Is there a particular sound that's good for memory recall?
Ooh, that's a good question, because it has there are recorded cases of people's memory coming back. I'd have to look. If you want to give me your contact information, I can follow up with you. Yeah. I had one of my oldest student is 84 years old. She started learning to play when she was 82 because her husband has dementia. He got his sense of smell back. He is way clearer headed, and she attributes it all to her playing. It's never too late to learn. Thank you very much. I don't want to take any more of your evening. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Cymber, thank you.
special.
I know that Cymber's been very generous, but you all have her information and her website and your email, and if you need it again, just please ask. You are officially free for the evening. If you want to learn more about the history of this incredible building, Jim Peiker and the family would love to share. If you need restaurant recommendations, ask. If there's anything we can do to support you to enjoy your evening, please ask. And then breakfast will be down here tomorrow morning at 8:30. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
You can hold it in your lap.
He plays the Native American flute.
Yeah.
So he has some.
There you go.
So right.
I know, isn't that amazing? It's just a tiny little thing.
Good to know. You don't sound terrible. That's
There's
amazing.
no wrong notes.
Yeah, it sounds really
There's
good.
no wrong notes.
This is not the case with other instruments.
That's true.
Yeah, right? My sister was trying to learn the violin growing up. It was very hard. I attribute it to my bad hearing.
Oh, thank you.
That was wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You want me to hit stop on your